So last week, we got treated to a preview of Star Citizen's version of Khorasan from Star Wars, a planet entirely covered by city. And I'm sure all of you who are watching my channel now know about my profession, so this is something that really is interesting to me. I can't wait to actually look at the architecture that they've employed in the new design language of Arccorp. And we got to see that in this preview video, and that's what I want to talk about specifically. Not about kind of like, oh look, they've done this cool thing, but more specifically about what they've changed from the CitizenCon preview. I think they've made a lot of improvements. They've definitely honed the idea of what Arccorp is, what it should look like. It's very different than what we saw before, and if you guys were really paying attention, we actually flew through Area 18. Did you catch it? Let's go back for a second. This is actually a bit of Area 18 that we fly through just for a second, because you can see the walkways going over the top. You see that? So it's not done yet, but you can see that the design style of the area is quite different than what we'd seen in the past. Now, I do like how clean it is. It's nice to see that, it's going to be different than Hurston Dynamics, and I think the old Arccorp looked more like Hurston Dynamics is today. In fact, they probably used a lot of the assets on that, like these buildings, or at least the LOD models of these buildings. However, I feel like that there's something missing from Arccorp that was in this version, and that's a sense of verticality. To describe what I mean, all you have to do is remember Khorasan from Star Wars, and I've put an image up on the screen at the lower right-hand corner for you guys to take a look. Now, I want you to look to the depth of the image. I want you to try to understand where the ground is. You can't. It's left ambiguous, and that's pretty much consistent through all the shots of the movie. You never see the bottom. And what this does is it leaves you with this sense of impossible vertigo, this idea that the buildings go about as deep as the imagination will allow, and we learn from lore that that actually ends up being the case. It is very deep on Khorasan. It goes down and down and down to the oldest layers of the city until you finally hit bedrock. And I felt like that was captured really well in the original version of Arccorp. But why does this matter, you might ask? It's a good question. To understand the answer to this question, I want you to stop thinking logically and think emotionally about the images that you've seen. Think about Arccorp, and then again, think about this image. There's something different about it, isn't it? It's not just that the buildings are taller on Khorasan, it's that the ambiguity of the depth of the space gives it a certain power. It inspires a sense of scale that defies belief. And in that, we are involuntarily put in a state of awe. That, and probably a bit of fear, even if you're not conscious of it. If you're still somewhat skeptical of the power of verticality in imagery, then I think that this image shall probably demonstrate my point even more. And while not all of you probably felt something from that, some of you probably did, and that's my point. And that's what I felt the original concept did very well. It combined that with, of course, a bit of a dystopian twist that comes from Blade Runner, and I think that was really successful. Going back to the work in progress footage, it's not bad. It definitely looks really good. But like I said, it doesn't feel as deep as the original concept, and that's something I'm really worried about. It feels very conventional in that it has things like highways and a skyline that looks like maybe a modern or contemporary city, maybe even something more extreme like Dubai. But it doesn't have that feeling of Coruscant. Going back again to the original CitizenCon footage, obviously it's not as polished, and I can very clearly see now there is definitely some stuff we now see in Hurston, so they've definitely used this stuff in the Hurston Lorville city. But I really like this trench idea, this idea of impossible depth. That is what I would love to see in the newer version of Arccorp. That, and I really like the idea that you can land in the city. I'm a little bit afraid from what we've seen of the starport that it's going to be a little bit more conventional like what we see in Hurston. At least that's what I've seen so far, again, from the work in progress footage. The starport looks very much like the Hurston starport. It's got a lot of big flat areas. It's very horizontal, not very vertical. And that to me is one of the shortcomings of the design. We haven't seen the whole thing though, so I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I think you guys should as well. If anything, I hope this video helps maybe just a little bit, I don't know if it's too late. Probably it's too late in the design process, but if they can get more of that vertical feeling in the design in future is one of the first things you experience when you enter the city, I think that'll be really successful for really getting across the original feeling that they had. That, of course, is if they want to have that original feeling. The other thing I really saw that bothered me a bit here about the new Arccorp is that the style of the interior architecture is very similar to Hurston, but with a different paint scheme. I was kind of hoping for something maybe a little bit cleaner looking to really differentiate itself. I think paint is way too surface level. I would like to see them do more like what they did here in this big open, looks like a waiting area. This definitely feels different than Hurston Dynamics. But maybe it just comes down to assets, probably comes down to time, and I understand that. They've got a lot of work on their hands. Building an entire city planet has got to be no easy task. I only hope that once we get our hands on it, it's going to be just as awesome as it looked like in the CitizenCon footage. Anyway, guys, I want to know what you guys thought of the preview. Are you guys looking forward to 3.5? I know I am, and I absolutely cannot wait to get my hands on the PTU version of it, to try it out, and go over it with you. There is so much to look forward to this year. I mean, just at the end of this month, we're going to be having 3.5. I cannot wait, guys, and I hope you guys will join me on this journey. If you guys want to see more of me live, be sure to check out my Twitch channel, which will be linked down below. Otherwise, I hope to see you guys next time.